neighbourhood is open 7 days a week. My earliest slot starts at 8 AM and my last slot ending at 10:45 PM. By the end of the day, I'm very spent, very tired. My legs are aching, my back's aching. I definitely did not grow up wanting to be a barber. Since young, I was always sold the idea that a successful career would mean being a doctor, a lawyer, or even an architect. I'll apply for maybe 20, 30 jobs, but ultimately all of them met with rejection after rejection. Hey Ben!
Hi Nick.
Good to see you.
Alright.
How are you?
Good bro.
Alright, come. After you.
The last time round, whatever you did was amazing.
Yeah, I mean the neater look looks better on you. Your hair is usually very thick, so we'll have to probably reduce a lot of the weight. You ready to go?
Yeah.
Awesome. I've been cutting hair for 7 years now. At the start, I had to really scour through my whole network. I would ask really good friends of mine to come to get their hair cut. And Bin was actually the 5th ever person that gave his trust to me to cut his hair when I was first starting out. Back then, I was definitely a lot less experienced. So even for a run-of-the-mill, straightforward haircut, it required a lot of concentration, you know. So it's only because of people like Bin, their blind faith or just their boldness to let me try that I began to build my own confidence and my own experience in this skill. Growing up, I used to get a $10 to $15 haircut at a place just like this. It was only in 2015 that my friend first invited me to get my haircut at a proper barbershop. And since that very first appointment, I felt really suave and confident about how I looked, and that's what kept me going back from then on. In 2018, during my first year of university, I went for a typical haircut appointment. During this appointment, the barber was extremely friendly and I found myself asking him more about his experiences as a barber. One question led to another and it led to me asking him if he would ever teach someone to become a barber. For me, I grew up in a family of 2 other brothers and I thought that would be a really cool skill to be able to cut their hair and even cut my dad's hair as well. He was open to teaching me and that was really how I started this journey to becoming a barber. This is my bedroom and this is where I first started cutting hair. When I first started cutting hair, I was still a university student, so a lot of my cuts, on top of it being here in my bedroom, was also done on campus. I was an SMU business student and I graduated in the year 2021. In fact, these very hallways formed the foundation of my barbering business. And in the early days, a lot of my schoolmates were my very first customers. I used to do 3 to 5 haircuts per day, 3 school days a week. I used to actually post my slots on my Instagram stories. Friends would naturally actually refer other friends to come and get a haircut. I was able to cut at a much more frequent tempo than I would just in my own home. I definitely did not grow up wanting to be a barber. Since young, I was always sold the idea that a successful career would mean being a doctor, a lawyer, or even an architect. And coming from a university like SMU, most of my peers would naturally follow such professions. Towards the end of graduation, I had a regular following of maybe 100 to 120 customers per month. And looking at it naturally is definitely something that could be built upon. Maybe you're just giving in to the pressure of all my friends going into normal jobs. I did not really consider barbering full-time out of school. I always thought that why not do a job that pays me well and then do barbering at night as a side hustle. Right after graduation, I started my first job as a safety specialist in Airbnb, and my office used to be right here. My first job involved having to handle high-level safety escalations, for example, robberies, assault cases that might take place within a listing. The nature of my first job was rather heavy, so for my next job, I decided to apply to a sales and business development role in another tech company. I was able to sell products instead, and this was a lot easier on my mental health. Ultimately for me, it was a job that paid the bills, and it was important for me at that point of time to have a stable income because I was saving up for my upcoming marriage. So we got married on the 29th of April 2023, so it's been a bit over 2 years now. As we were approaching our wedding day, I was seriously considering going overseas for my barber academies, dedicated schools just for barbering.
When he brought it up, it's like, whoa, okay, that sounds fun. I think I've always wanted him to feel confident and like good at what he does, because he is good at what he does.
In my job, they said you have to either choose the job or to go for your barbering endeavors, and yeah, I had to resign.
For me, it's like, if we're going on this thing together, I want to be able to be present for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So that's why I attended as well.
The first 2 months that we were there, we were traveling every single weekend. Yeah, we really enjoyed ourselves, and it ultimately became about a 9.5-month journey in total.
I was like, oh my gosh, where's the money going to come from? But we managed to save an amount that we projected would be able to help us with like down payment for BTO and stuff like that. When we decided to stretch our traveling journey, it was more of like okay, we will spend this amount.
With our savings constantly dwindling down, when we came back, the plan was always to just go back straight into a corporate job because that was the most secure way to build out our savings as well as our CPF as fast as we could. Every day I would give myself a target of applying maybe to about 5 jobs, so maybe I would apply for maybe 20, 30 jobs, and a lot of them I would get rejected straight away, or after a while I'd get turned down. But ultimately all of them kind of met with rejection after rejection. I saw it as a sign that maybe I should give this barbering thing a shot.
I never thought that he would do it full-time. I always think that he would do it as a part-time career. But of course, I think there's a lot of insecurity in him. I remember he was also saying, but mom, is not stable. I don't know when the income is coming in, how much I would get. But to me, as a mom, of course, I told him, Nick, you just go and do whatever you love, and you have my support throughout the thing.
I felt like I had always seen this coming, but didn't want to rush his timeline, nor prevent him from figuring his barbering thing out. So when he told me that like this was what he was struggling with and he was likely not going to apply for roles anymore, for me it was like, okay, we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Having the support of my wife and my mom and even the rest of my family was very crucial in giving me the courage to make the decision to pursue barbering. I've since moved out of my bedroom and into a newly renovated balcony space 2 months ago. Come on in. So as you can see over here, I've installed a new barber light, I've switched out my couch, a new sign as well, all with the intention of making this feel like as much of a real barbershop as possible.
The things I hear is that, wow, go university, spend so much money, you know, university is not cheap. Be a barber. That's what I always hear, you know. I paid for his university education, and I think generally people expect a better ROI, a return on investment, that a child hopefully will get a higher paying job. For him being a barber, there is a lot of sacrifices on his part in terms of how people view him. Because I think a lot of people at his age, his peers in university, they could have already gone up very high up in the corporate ladder. But for Nick, he's a barber, you know.
I guess it's just about cancelling out all those noises and just accepting what we chose and how we navigate it from here. So today we are here at Fheng building to buy some of my barbering supplies. The benefit of being a one-man show operating out of my parents' HDB flat is that I keep my overheads down to the minimal. And in fact, most of my operating costs comes from the very things that I'm here to buy today. Hey Mark, which brush is the softest feel, especially if I'm going on the face and the neck area?
Yeah, the third one from the right.
So this one, yeah?
Yes.
In terms of a monetary point of view, I earn a similar amount to my previous corporate job, ranging around maybe 5,000 Singapore dollars every single month. But of course, being in a service industry, demand and supply always differs. So on a low month, I can earn as low as maybe 3,000 Singapore dollars. But of course, there are bumper crop months. For example, during the Chinese New Year period, where the demand for haircuts might be very high, where I will earn maybe around 6,000 Singapore dollars every month. Right now, we actually have secured our BTO, which we have to save up the down payment for, and I do hope to start a family, and definitely my parents are aging as well, so eventually there are definitely going to be more financial pressures involved. So it does make me think about the possibility of how that will work with my choice of career. I'm not going to lie, but I've searched LinkedIn a few times to see how I can go back to a white-collar job. But I think all in all, sometimes there is a value in just persevering, and I know that sometimes in the short term it's tough, but in the long term, I believe that one day it'll pay off.